Welcome back to the Roaring Peacock LUFC fan channel. Check out the branding on that. If you've clicked on this channel by accident, goodbye. If you're here for the Leeds United versus Aston Villa preview, welcome. We're going to be talking about their recent matches, the reverse fixture. We'll have a look at injuries, some of the form that Villa show without Jack Grealish. And we'll try and make it entertaining and informational for you, which is going to be hard because at least one of us is an idiot. If you're new around here, subscribe and leave your score predictions in the comments. Let's go. The following podcast contains some strong language and some very average opinions.
Any references to actual people are wildly inaccurate. It's probably best if you don't listen at all. The Roaring Peacock Podcast.
Welcome back to the Roaring Peacock Podcast. This is the match preview. Leeds United, greatest team in the world, saviours of the North and the Premier League, those mighty footballing gods dressed in white, versus Aston Villa, the poor man's Wolves. The black sheeps of the Black Country, the bane of and the Unforgiven from 1996, the horrible, mean bastards who hung on to Premier League status by a faulty goal line decision system. So, welcome to the podcast. My name's Adonis. You know me as at the Headlights on Twitter. It's a very good hello from me. And joining us representing the Roaring Peacocks and Leeds United, the Mighty Whites, is at Ross Bell 1984 from the Man on the Post pod.
How you doing, mate?
And the stranger in our midst, the villain among heroes. It's Simon from the Man on the Post pod as well.
How's it going? You all right?
Yeah, not too bad, mate.
Yeah, not bad. Thanks, Simon. Are you okay?
I'm not too bad. I mean, I resent the suggestion that Aston Villa are from the Black Country. That's a very different part of the West Midlands, but I'll forgive your ignorance on that just this once.
It's a different part of the West Midlands.
Yeah, Birmingham and the Black Country are two separate ends. The Black Country is Wolverhampton and West Bromwich. Aston Villa is in Birmingham, not the Black Country.
All the same to me, mate.
It's basically like how Leeds and Sheffield is basically the same place.
Yeah, it's just all Yorkshire.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
So
all northern.
You're all the Peaky Blinders then. It's not the Black Country, it's the Peaky Blinders. That's who you are.
Technically, but that's more Birmingham City, Peaky Blinders. It gets very complicated in the West Midlands.
Yeah. Okay, that's Birmingham City. We did go through that on the previous match preview, so I know that can cut deep, just like a blade from a flat cap.
Exactly.
Okay, so I'll try and steer this towards some educational content or informational content, let's say. So we look at the recent matches first of all. And we always start with the opposition fan. So Villa 1, Leicester 2. Talk us through that, Simon.
It was a really poor performance from especially the first half. We just couldn't get near Leicester at all, which was disappointing because we've been quite decent this season from a defensive point of view, but they just sort of cut through us time and time again, and we gave James Maddison far too much time and space, which is frustrating because it's not like he's an unknown entity. Everyone knows what Maddison can do. So it was poor. We had a few injuries. Obviously, Jack Grealish was out, which is a big loss for us. But more importantly on that game, we had Matty Cash missing, and we're going to have him missing against you and for the next few weeks. And Harvey Barnes, he's obviously been in great form this season.
Yeah.
It was a tough game for Ahmed El-Mohamady, rather, to have been dropped straight into, and he really struggled against Barnes. We improved slightly in the second half, but we never looked like we were going to get anything from that game. So, yeah, a bit disappointing.
Kind of how I felt when we played Leicester.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first time round, anyway.
And Leeds 3, Southampton 0, Ross.
Yeah, we were pretty good, weren't we? Second half. First half was a complete write-off, and Saints fans want to cry into their beers as much as they want about a penalty that wasn't a penalty and a free kick taken before the whistle was blown. But yeah, we were dominating second half. Patrick Bamford with a lovely finish. Costa looking like the player we actually bought, which is nice. As we spent weeks and weeks slagging him off, wondering what the point of him was. To be a good winger, it seems, and provide good crosses and good passes. So yeah, I was pretty impressed with that.
Okay. Then Matt Letizia crying into his mask that he's forced to wear.
Referees are wrong. It's a penalty. Fuck off, Letizia.
Yeah. He shouldn't have to wear the mask, and he shouldn't have to cry into it.
Just tweet him asking about his spot betting that he never got brought up for.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So Villa Leicester, 49% possession for Villa, 11 shots to 16. So it wasn't that big a gulf in class. You said that you didn't look like you were ever going to get anything out of the game, but I'm looking at the stats here, and they tell a different story, Simon.
I think that's where the stats can paint a very nice picture at times, but you can't beat a good old-fashioned eye test.
Yeah, the eyeball test.
You can look at those stats and think, it was fairly even. You watched the game. I mean, there was only one team. You could clearly see which team was going to go into second position in the league from that. I mean, Leicester, especially first up. To be fair, second half, I think we got higher up the pitch and were a bit more aggressive against them defensively. So they couldn't cause us as many problems. And Maddison went off injured, I think, with about 25 minutes to go, which took something away from them. And we dealt with Vardy actually quite well, considering how good a player he can be. We actually sort of coped with his threat reasonably well. But from an attacking point of view, I think we only had 2 shots on target, or 2 or 3 on target that I can remember. And they weren't really proper chances. We just didn't really create anything clear-cut, to be honest.
No.
So.
Okay. And speaking of stats, not telling a particularly good story of the game, 11 shots for Leeds as well, to Southampton's 13, and 46% possession. And we somehow won 3-0.
Did we under-possess a team? That never happens. Wow. I didn't realise that. Saints did seem to have nothing in that second half. We just seemed to just cut through them. I don't remember them really having the ball at all. So, yeah, it must have been... That's impressive from us. That's clinical, really. 7 on target, 3 going in. That's not bad for us this season.
Yeah, we had the greater possession in the first half. They had the greater possession in the second half by quite some way. They just did nothing with it. And I think it was Bamford who said that we picked him off. And that's exactly what we did. And
Stuart Dallas with a toe poke. You got to love a toe poke.
Yeah. So before we look at the reverse fixture, which I am looking forward to, sincerely. Simon, our listeners know quite a bit about Leeds United. We don't pay that much attention to Aston Villa. So can you tell us, you've done quite well this season. You've beaten Liverpool 7-2, which you got some sort of award for, I think. And you rename a street after it? So I can't remember. It was something like that, wasn't it? So how has your season been after cheating your way to avoiding relegation?
I know you probing away, trying to get a reaction. I'm going to ignore that last line.
You haven't seen our match previews before, have you?
No, and I don't think I want to either.
It's going easy on you, mate, to be honest.
As far as the season's gone, in general, I can't really have too many complaints. We're sitting 8th in the league, 4 points behind Liverpool in 6th, with 2 games in hand on them. So considering how bad we were last season, I mean, I think it was only Norwich conceded more goals than us last year. And at the moment, it's only Man City who have conceded less. So it's been a hell of a turnaround, in the space of 12 months. So as the season's gone, in general, I'm pretty pleased. The last few weeks, we've had a few dodgy results. Like we're not the best run of form. I think since the turn of the year, we've lost 5 games. But to put a bit of context to that, 4 of those 5 defeats have been against the current top 4.
Yeah.
So again, it's not something you can really have too many complaints. The biggest frustration for me is there's just certain games we've dropped silly points. Like we played Burnley twice and we played Brighton twice, and we've only taken 2 points from a potential 12 out of those 4 fixtures. So when you think we've done the double over Arsenal, beat Liverpool, we've had other sort of decent results and decent performances. I've got a point away at Stamford Bridge. Then you look at some of those games and think they were really winnable games. We lost twice to West Ham certainly the first game against them at the London Stadium. We battered them for 90 minutes and come away with a 2-1 defeat. So there's little frustrations like that. But as, progress from last season, it's been, it's unbelievable, the progress. So, and as long as we can continue along that line, I don't think you can have too many complaints, to be honest.
No. Okay, not what we want to hear. We want to hear lots of complaints from the opposition. So let's move as swiftly as possible onto that reverse fixture then. Start with you, Ross. Aston Villa 0, Patrick Bamford 3.
Yeah, that was pretty good, wasn't it? Maybe the best we've played all season. At half time, I remember speaking to Simon about it during the game, thinking it half time it was in the balance. It was a couple of missed chances here and there for Villa and us ourselves. It could have gone either way. And in the second half, we did what we did to Southampton. We came out and we just scored that earliest goal, 55 minutes, Bamford's first one, and then his second and third goals were just magic. Was it the third one where he stood in the box surrounded by about 4 Villa defenders and we just watched him just knock it into that far corner?
Yeah, tiptoed, didn't he?
Yeah. Mesmerised him. This is Patrick Bamford. It was weird, and I know Simon absolutely hates him. It made it so much sweeter that he got the hat trick. But yeah, Bielsa still rates that as our best performance this season, and I think that one and the City 1-1 game, those two really, I think, have been the best overall performances. So yeah, it's going to be tough to match that, but yeah, it should be a really good game, definitely.
I think the thing about that game was we had 27 shots, and against 11 men. Rarely do you. You only kind of see that when Man City play Wigan or something.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Simon, how did that game go for you?
Like Ross said, at first half, I thought it was fairly evenish, although Leeds had probably a couple of really decent. I think Bamford missed actually a couple of good chances in that first half. Yeah. And I was thinking, he's having one of those Patrick Bamford nights. And then obviously the second half, I think just before you went 1-0 up, I think Grealish nearly scored an amazing. I think he picked the ball up inside of his own half and sort of took on 3 or 4 players. Had that gone in, I think had we gone 1-0 up, I think it would have been a completely different game. So I think this season, we've taken the lead in 12 games and we've won 11 of them, or we've taken it in 11 and gone on to win 10. It's something like that. So when we go a goal up defensively, we're normally quite good at keeping it. But once Leeds went ahead, they just completely did us in that second half. It was one of the few occasions this season where we've come off the pitch having lost the game, and you sort of look at it and go, you can't really have too many complaints about Leeds were just simply the better team in that second half. They completely overran us in the midfield. And out wide as well. They were, I think it's Harrison, gave Matty Cash a real problem. Cash has had a really good season, but he was really struggling to cope with Harrison that night. And say Bamford, the second goal in particular was one that, even though I cannot stand him, when that went in, I was like, to be fair, give the lad the biscuit. He's done well there. The third goal, you describe that as magic. I describe it as there's 4 defenders just stood there looking at him. Someone put a tackle on him, for God's sake. One
of them could have just booted that ball clear, but they were just stood there and watched.
It was like they'd almost thought, Well, he scored one worldie. Surely he's not getting another one, but he did. And I mean, as I say, Leeds first half the game was in the balance. Once they took the lead, they completely and thoroughly deserved the 3 points that night. They were really impressive.
Music to my ears. That so nice to hear.
Kills me to say it, but it's true.
Let's move on to the match preview then. Injuries. Philip for Leeds. Phillips, Rodrigo, still out.
Yep.
Clicky maybe coming back. People who are still out: Berardi, Forshaw, Cock. Am I right?
Cock is out. He is, yeah, although he's back in training, so maybe he'll be back before the end of the season. Same with Brady as well. But yeah, I think that's pretty much the main ones. But then we had no Phillips last time, did we, against Villa? And
yeah,
it was impressive. Stoycat to get hooked after about 20 minutes, I think, because he was already on a booking.
Yeah, that's right.
I believe he'd done well to avoid a second yellow card in that game as well.
Yeah, I think he was walking a tightrope as well. Bielsa took him off. But yeah, I'm normally concerned when Phillips doesn't play, but we looked all right against Saints without Phillips. That the reshuffled midfield with the back three as well, with Llorente playing, we looked more solid in that midfield. So yeah, I'm not quite as worried as I am, especially because Villa have no Jack Grealish, which is like music to my ears.
So are we looking at a similar lineup then?
I think. Well, we went three at the back, didn't we? Because Saints play that 4-4-2. Villa play one up front, Simon, don't they? Just Watkins.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe back. Yeah, maybe back to the usual, but maybe with Llorente pushing forward into that Phillips role, maybe. Which is what he was kind of touted to do. I think I remember listening to the Phil Hay show with people in Spain saying he's a better defensive midfielder than he is a centre back. Yeah,
which is a weird one.
Yeah, because we bought him as a centre back.
Because he seemed to just be better at being injured.
Yeah, that's his main talent so far this season.
Okay, and for Villa then, you've mentioned Cash and Grealish also out. So is it going to be, Martinez, El Mohammadi, Konza, Ming, Mings? No? Yeah, Mings.
Yeah.
It says Ming here.
It does,
Thanks, Google.
Yeah,
Ming
says that as well.
Isn't that
Tyrone Ming?
Wasn't that a who was that? That was some baddie from
Flash Gordon.
Yeah, there you go. Jesus.
There's a Photoshop for you.
Turn it for the books if he pulls on the claret shirt. Target left back Louise and McGinn in those kind of defensive midfielder roles. Then Traore, Barkley, El Ghazi, and Watkins.
I'm not sure if that is going to be the starting lineup in that midfield three. Regarding Grealish, it's still up in the air as to how long he's actually going to be out for. After the Leicester game, Smith said that he was hopeful he'd be back for Leeds. But the thing is, we've been here before with Grealish injuries. When we were in the year we went up in the Championship, he got injured in the December, and we were told it was only like a week or two, and then 3 months later he was still out. So, I mean, if there's no guarantee whether he'll actually be fit for Saturday or not, but I suspect there'll be changes to that midfield because he went with Louise, McGinn and Barkley against Brighton 2 weeks ago, and they were really poor. And I think he went with them again last week, expecting to see a reaction. Thought this was the first time they've been that bad, so let's give them a chance to react and show they can do better. And they didn't. And I think a lot of Villa fans are getting fed up with Barkley's inconsistencies now. Yeah. So we've got a young lad, Jacob Ramsey. He's come on a few times this season and looks a decent little player. And obviously we signed Morgan Sanson in January. So I wouldn't be surprised if one, if not both of them, came in to that midfield. And then there's also a chance that Marvelous Nakamba might come in, as he's a bit more, one of the best names in football, that Marvelous. But he's a proper defensive midfield destroyer. And, obviously the way Leeds play with, they commit so many men going forward, whether Smith might just opts to have just that bit more defensive solidity in, protecting that back four. So I really couldn't predict how our midfield's going to line up. Watkins will play up front. Traore will definitely play because he's been quite decent this season as a goal threat. But those are the sort of 3 or 4 midfield positions. I think that's up in the air at the moment as to who's going to start.
Okay.
So I actually looked up Jacob Ramsey because I had no idea who he was. In the 14 minutes at Leicester, he made 15 passes, 100% pass accuracy, 2 progressive, 1 shot creating, 2 progressive passive receives. So he looked to have done quite well. He looks like he's a forward-thinking player, an attacking player.
Yeah, he's kind of... I don't think he's quite a number 10, but he's definitely that more of an attacking midfield side player. I think he's only started the 1 league game for us, and that was away at Wolves back in December. It was a bit of a surprise that he got chucked into the team because he'd only made the odd sub appearance here or there. But he played quite well that day. He didn't do anything spectacular, but he didn't do anything wrong. He just looks like a comfortable little player. And the few sort of cameo sub appearances he's had when he's come on, he's got a lot of energy about him. But when he gets on the ball, he's not afraid to take people on and to have a go from outside the area. So he's got a bit of confidence about him, and he's been quite highly rated at the academy for the last couple of years. So I don't think Smith will have a problem chucking him in. And I think the fans, you always like to see a homegrown player come in. So as I say, I wouldn't be surprised if he got the nod on Saturday.
He sounds like a Villa Jamie Shackleton, doesn't he?
Yeah, fully. So just one little stat then. Jack Grealish he's missed 15 games in recent years. Do you know this? Do you know this stat? How many?
I bet I can guess where you're going.
How many do you think that you've won without him? Of 15? I'll give you a clue. It's more than 1.
I'd say 2.
2.
Yep, exactly. So 2 wins, 6 draws, 7 losses, 15 goals scored in those 15 games, and 24 conceded.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, most of them will be from when we're in the Championship. So I don't know how much you can read into that because, I mean, our squad's obviously very different now to what it was 2 years ago when we were in the Championship. But there's no doubt we miss him. You take the best player out of any team, they're going to suffer somewhat. Yeah. I mean, I don't personally think had he played against Leicester, it would have made much difference. I mean, they were just a lot better than us. I think, and I'm not saying this to try and be disrespectful, but I think if he's missing against Leeds, I don't think it will affect us as much as it would as he was missing against Leicester, because I think just by the very nature of the way Leeds play, they leave, spaces at the back anyway. Yeah. Having him obviously would help us out, but even if he's not there, I still think there's chances to be made in that game.
Okay, and the referee is Peter Banks. So I don't know if you know him or you're familiar with him. He's fairly unassuming character. He's got a receding hairline. And he looks...
And we all.
I mean, well, no, not all of us.
It'll come one day. Don't you worry.
It's got quite a notable receding hairline, though, because he doesn't shave it off like you fellas. And he looks a bit like a mole, I think.
Oh, he's got a weird face, isn't he?
Strange face, yeah. I don't know anything about him other than that.
No.
So there you go. Receding hairline and looks like a mole. So
look out for that on Saturday evening, boys.
We've looked through the recent matches. We've looked at the reverse fixture. We've looked at injuries. We've made predicted lineups. We've called the referee a ugly mole-looking dickhead. You should have all the information to make a score preview prediction. So, given that, with all that in mind, then Simon. Oh, I should let you know the point system. You get 1 point
for this.
You get 1 point for predicting the correct result, so a win, draw, or a loss. You get 2 extra points for predicting the exact scoreline. You get a bonus point for every goal scorer you predict. But to stop you gaming the system and naming every player in both squads, you get deducted 1 point for every incorrect goal scorer. So with all that in mind, what is your score prediction?
Right. When we've on some of the other podcasts that I've done, whenever we've come to predict scores, I always say when it comes to Leeds, I have not got a clue. They're the one team I find it almost impossible to predict because you just do not know what sort of performance you're going to get from them.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to go...
Shall I just put 3-0 down? Patrick Bamford hat-trick?
I am... No, surely the footballing gods can't punish me like that twice in a season.
You'll have wronged them somewhere. Definitely,
Yeah,
if that happens again.
I'm gonna have a bit of faith in my team and go with 2-1 Villa.
Okay. Are you naming any goal scorers?
So do I have to give you the goal scorers?
You can if you want.
Okay.
You don't have to. You have been read the rules.
In for a penny, in for a pound. Might as well go for it. So I'll go for Villa, Watkins and Traore. And for Leeds, just to annoy me and make me angry and tense during the game, it's going to be Bamford, isn't it?
Okay, Ross?
Same scoreline, different result for me. 2-1 to Leeds. Bamford and Costa. One of these is going to fall right for him and he's going to actually score this week. And for Villa, it's going to be... I've got a feeling John McGinn's just going to twat one in from some distance.
What amazes me about you, Ross, is that you know how this works.
I know.
And yet you still guessing goal scorers.
I know. It's fun, though. I'm never going to sit on the fence.
The Roaring Peacock team, the scores for the season currently stand at -10. And our opponents have -11. So it's
there you go.
very close again. At one point, it was we were +1 and the opponents had -7.
That's when Alex was doing the previews.
Yeah. Well, how quickly things can change, eh?
Yeah.
Rightio. So, just almost time for final thoughts. Then I just want to ask you quickly, Simon. What's happened with Grealish this season? Because he's been driving his car around like a maniac, donuts around the estate, I guess, and spotted in a very compromising situation with a person of the opposite sex in considerable undress. So can you tell us about that?
I mean, what Jack likes to get up to in the privacy of his own bedroom is not something I want to speculate on. As far as the driving offences go, I mean, the one, I think it was the beginning of the first lockdown last year in March. I mean, there's just no excuse for that. He was a prat, and that's putting it mildly. And I think, he's quite rightly vilified for it. I mean, it's just stupid, isn't it? What's annoying is I know for a fact a lot of the sort of stuff that he does do that's quite good from a charity point of view. So it's a friend of my mum's. His son, I think he's like about 8 or 9. I think he's had leukemia about 3 or 4 times. And Grealish, he spent an awful lot of time with the family, and he does a lot of good stuff that doesn't get publicised. But then when he goes and does stuff like that, you just think, don't be so. Why are you being so stupid? So it's really frustrating because, as I say, he does an awful lot of stuff for charity that doesn't really get mentioned. But when all the headlines are the negative ones, it is frustrating.
I know you say that he does a lot for charity, and trust me, it pains me to say this, but he's not Marcus Rashford, is he? I mean,
no. No, but
no one is though.
And it's just like I think he's the image that a lot of people have about him is that he's just like a proper big time Charlie and just doesn't care about anyone but himself, and that's not the case. But when he does stupid things like that, like it's frustrating because you know that he is actually like he's a decent guy. He does do a lot of good things, but when you do the stupid stuff like that, and you put yourself in the spotlight like that, you can't really complain when people have those sort of negative opinions of you. So frustrating some of his behaviour.
Cut it out. He's not a good guy. Cut it out, don't we? Don't want to.
Yeah, that's going to be edited so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just stupid. He's not a good guy. Okay, thanks, Simon. Thanks for that. Surprising that you'd say so little about Grealish. Okay, and the final thing that I do before final thoughts is just ask you how you feel that Leeds have got on this season from your perspective.
Really, really well. I mean, as I say, you can't help but the game, the reverse fixture, watching that second half, I couldn't help but be impressed by them. I mean, it's no secret that Leeds and Villa, they're not overly keen on each other for various reasons.
Yeah.
And there are occasions where I do watch them, and sometimes you do think, if you just tightened up a little bit, you could be doing a lot better than you already are. But what they have done is very impressive. I mean, are you 10th? Is it 10th or 11th that you are at the moment now? I mean, you'll go above us on if you win. I mean, we've got a couple of games in hand, but you go above us if you win on Saturday. So, as I say, you can't help but be impressed by them, and they are. It frustrates me because all the commentators constantly drone on about it, but they are entertaining to watch. Like I'd rather watch them than watch Sheffield United or Burnley or West Brom week in, week out.
That's the game before ours at the weekend, actually. I think it's like Sheffield United versus Burnley.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus.
That'll get the viewers in.
Yeah, what way to whet your appetite.
There's two clubs that can be eliminated from the Premier League. Yeah, go to 18. Why not?
I can't wait. Can't wait for them to go.
We're fun to watch. We've scored 43, we've conceded 43 in 25 games.
Exactly, yeah.
Not boring, is it? Okay, final thoughts then. Ross?
I'm looking forward to it. Like Simon said, I don't really like Villa. They don't really like us, but it's going to be a good game. It's one of those weird rivalries that kind of goes back only to about 96 probably. But yeah, they were the first time I cried at football. And every time we beat them, it soothes 12-year-old Ross a little bit.
Yep, I can relate strongly. Simon?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a good game. I mean, we actually do have tended to play quite decent football this season, and as you've already said, Leeds always entertaining to watch them. So I'm looking forward to it. I don't want to jinx it, but it's not going to be a boring 0-0. I'm fairly confident of that. There'll be goals in it, and it should be good to watch. And I'm just hoping that we can come out on the right side of it this time. Yeah,
we don't do 0-0.
No. Well, I tried to bring the banter. I did. I honestly did. But it was just friendly throughout. You're too nice.
We found a nice Villa fan, though. That's the problem, isn't
it? Yeah, we've replaced the other Villa fan that we had previously with somebody who's far too nice.
I tell you what, if we'd have done this after I'd had a few drinks, it might be different.
Right. Well, I'll pen that in the diary for next time.
Yeah.
Okay, so Simon, where can people find you?
On Twitter @SioRegan, and check out the Man on the Post podcast because I'm on that as well.
I may have edited out that awkward pause, but I wasn't asking you for your address. Give your address to thousands of people. Go on, Simon. Where can we find you when it all goes badly wrong for us? So thank you for listening or watching the Roaring Peacock podcast. You can find us at Peacock's Raw on Twitter. And it's a very good bye from me. My name is Adonis, and you can find me at The Adelites. And it's a very good bye from at RossBell1984, our man on the post. Ross?
Very good bye for me. Yeah, follow me on Twitter. Follow Man on the Post on Twitter. And Leeds.
And it's a very good bye from Simon.
Cheers, thank you.
Come on, Leeds! Into him! Come on!
Most of our stats come from LUFC Stats or LUFC Data on Twitter. A very special thanks to Barney Stewart, Cook, Ewan and Howard Metcalf, Josh Pearson, Laura, Leon and Rob, The Light Show, and all our family and friends.
Many games to play, don't care what's on your mind. I should have said no.